Hello, SAM25 Volunteers. Welcome to Season 6 of Sam's House. We're getting ready for the season 2020-2021, and we have a lot of new things going on with our new building and different processes for COVID, just to keep everybody safe. So in lieu of an in-person orientation, I decided to put together a few videos to hopefully make everybody feel more at ease with what to do on their first shift back at the shelter. Everybody will come in at the same door, the staff will greet you, and a lot of the things are really going to remain the same. So I don't want anybody to worry, but this will help you just to know what to do and where to go when you come in. So stay tuned for some videos and let us know if you have any questions. We're excited to see you. Okay, so as you can see, there is a really fun yellow door on the Richmond Street side of the new shelter. And I'm standing out here on the street, and I just want to show this to you because this is where all meal volunteers are going to come in. Meal volunteers will park on the street here, basically where this Buick is, and they can bring their meal right in through the yellow door. And I just want to show you, because we put up a handy little doorbell here, so we can hear the chime when the meal volunteers are here, and then we can let them in to bring in their meal. Pretty simple. Parking. When you come into the shelter, you're going to want to know where to park. And you can park anywhere on this side of the building. If you could, please park with your car backed up to or into the building, not sideways, just to create more room. Don't worry about parking on grass. Eventually we're going to be asphalting all this, but for now this is how it is. So we want to try to keep the parking lot as accessible as possible, and if you could park into the building, like I said, then you can create more spaces for everybody. There's also additional parking right back by the back porch here, which is also the entrance to the shelter for guests. And as you can see, Lois is parked here next to the rail, and then Connie and I are parked back here in the other direction. And so we'll have to try to strategically park so that way we can fit as many cars back here as possible. But probably what is the best way is to park into the building, into the porch direction where Connie and I are parked, and we can probably fit 4 or 5 cars back here this way. We do have to keep this driveway open because this is an easement, so please don't block the driveway. If there isn't any parking available and you're only going to be here for a little while, you can park on Richmond Street on the side of the building, or you can always go across to the city lot, which is on the other side of Cove Vantage. So there's a public lot right through the drive-thru over there, so that's always another option as well. But hopefully we can fit everybody in here. And then when you're going to come into the building, you'll come in through the back entrance, walk up here, and this is also where the guests are going to come in. And you come back to this back door, and there's a nice little doorbell back here, and you hit that doorbell, and the staff will greet you. And look at there. There's Lois. You probably can't see her, but she's in the door. Hi, Lois. Hi. Like I said, when you ring the bell, the staff will greet you. Look at that. It's that simple. So then you're going to come on in, and everybody's going to wear a mask. And so if you don't have a mask, don't sweat it. We got plenty here. We got masks here. We have hand sanitizer. The other thing that you're going to do when you come in is you are going to take your temperature with this thermometer, or the staff will take it for you. Everybody that comes in through the shelter will have their temperature taken at the door. If you do not have somebody take your temperature, have the staff show you how to do that on your first night back in, how to use that handy little thermometer, and then they can you can take your own, and then you can log it. If anybody has a fever, they'll be sent home right away. So that's really important. Okay, so when you walk in to the door, after you go through your temperature check and COVID screening, This is the main intake office. We have 2 intake offices now, but this is the primary one that people will be working out of. The other one will just be for overflow or to, place a family while they're waiting for intake, just to keep people distanced. We're only going to allow up to 3 families in the intake area at a time. 1 in this office and a second in this office, which is also right now going to be the volunteer sleep room. And this will be set up for next week. And then we could potentially place another family in this area just to keep people distanced if people just want to get in out of the cold. We're going to try to encourage people to stagger their times that they come back if possible, so that way they're not waiting outside and can get in right away. But we can't allow everybody in to wait inside like we had in the past, not with COVID. Once, the situation hopefully gets better, we can change that again. But this stuff will all be out of here. This is just kind of stuff that is going to be put away into storage. So pardon the mess. But again, this is the intake office. And this is where you'll find all the stuff that was basically previously in the shelter in the intake office. And we'll have, here's the calendar and things like that, numbers, copy machine, all that stuff. And then you come back out here into the hallway, and we're going to go into the bin room. This door goes to the bins. So this is really convenient because everything's back here now. And this is where we store guest items. So a little different this year, because we're actually going to allow guests to take their clothing to their rooms. So it'll be really important when we do our searches to make sure that there's nothing in there that they can't have, because they will be taking those items to their rooms. But that'll also free up a lot of space in the bin room, and they'll be able to keep their stuff a little more organized that way. We also have blankets in here. All of the beds are already pre-made, so you won't have to worry about giving any blankets on the first night. But when new guests come in thereafter, you'll probably have to give them blankets because their beds will no longer be made. In the bins, we're going to primarily store outer garments like jackets, hats, gloves, stuff like that, medication, and anything else that needs to be locked up. Cigarettes, tobacco products, lighters, anything that may be valuable if they have any money or anything, they can keep it in their bins. And then this is also where we will have volunteer sign-in. So here's the volunteer sign-in sheet, the clipboard like you're used to using. We'll also print that calendar from the Sign Up Genius to be able to put in the little slot there. It's important to note that if people are uncomfortable using Sign Up Genius, they can also sign up through staff. The staff have been trained on that, and you can just let the staff know what nights you're interested in, and they can get you set up through that. After you leave the bin room, after the guests put their things in their bin, this will be the door into the shelter. So it's really cool because it is actually a fogged glass, so nobody will be able to see who's in shelter. Very confidential. And right now, we're just using regular keys. All of the doors are keyed with the same key. So instead of having 4 different sets of keys like we had in the old shelter, we're going to have just one key that will run all of the interior doors. So that's much easier. So you'll be able to grab one of those in the intake office in the key box, and just ask staff for that when you come in on the first night, and they'll be able to get you that, and you can open the door for the guests. So this will remain locked during intake, just like at the old shelter. And then when guests are cleared to go in, you can let them in and assign them to a room. So everything is kind of a mess right now because we're still moving in. But when you come into the shelter, it won't be this messy anymore. And we're going to assign guests starting with these rooms in the main hallway. There's 5 rooms back here. And so you can just start assigning rooms, 1 household per room. And if a household is only 1 person, they will get that whole room to themselves during COVID. We don't want to mix any households, and we want to keep people as separate as possible so we minimize any risk of transmission. Guests will also eat in their rooms. Meals will be served to them in the hallway here with a cart. We ordered kitchen carts and materials for that. So the volunteer will be able to help the staff get the meals put together on plates, and then the staff can bring them to the rooms. Volunteers may help with that too if they choose to, but if they're uncomfortable with that, they don't have to. That's up to you. So you and staff can kind of talk about that when you first come in. So these are all the rooms, and like I said, the beds are made, so that makes things a little bit easier. And things might be moved around a little bit before the shelter season starts, but these are set up pretty well. And then each room has one of these cool little shelving units, and we're going to use those for guests to be able to put their items on and try to keep things tidy as much as possible. So we're back over by the kitchen, and there's 2 bedrooms back here and a bathroom. These rooms will be reserved as quarantine rooms, if you will, or sick rooms. If somebody is just not feeling well, or if they're not feeling great, but they, don't have symptoms of COVID, and if they have symptoms of COVID, we're going to try to get them into a hotel and quarantine them there. And if they have fever or anything like that, so they're not transmitting anything to anybody else. But let's say somebody got something in the middle of the night, or if somebody has a headache or whatever, or just, symptoms of a cold, very minor, whatever it is, we can put them in these rooms and they'll be completely separate from other guests. And then they also have their own bathroom. In times of any sickness at all, with this new space, we can keep this completely separate, and only the people who have symptoms of anything will use this bathroom. Other guests can use the general bathroom. So that's really nice because we'll be able to keep them totally separate and it'll be a lot safer. If you do see anybody with symptoms of any sickness at all, please alert a staff member and we will deal with that accordingly. Like I said, we might be able to put them in a hotel with a hotel voucher. The CARES Act did give some funding for that. So that'll be something we can do to avoid any transmission of sickness. And that's why it's really important that we do the screening for symptoms when guests come in. Because if they have any symptoms, we're going to move them to a different place right away, the Super 8 or whatever is available. We'll get them out of the shelter and into another facility, so that way there's no transmission risk. Over here is going to be our laundry area. And we are getting bids right now for washer dryers, so we're hoping to have those in before the shelter season starts. If they're not here before the shelter season, they'll be here shortly thereafter. And here's Grandma Connie working very diligently at putting all of the towels away. So this is where all the towels will be for guests. We'll have laundry, soap, all that stuff stored over here as well. And guests will get a towel assigned per person, a towel or 2, whatever they need. Obviously, if they need some extras, they just have to ask. And then they'll be able to do laundry through like a laundry ticket system or a sign-up system. Basically, they'll just sign up on a clipboard with staff, and then they get a time assigned to them when they can do laundry. Guests will be responsible for their own laundry, and that includes their bedding while they're here. And we will no longer be sending our laundry out. That'll be really nice. So that's basically how that's going to work. And next to the laundry area, we have some storage at the top of the steps that go to the basement for cleaning products. And these are just for us to use to be able to clean the shelter. So if you need any cleaning products, this is likely where they're going to be. There's also garbage bags and all sorts of stuff in here. So this is where we're trying to store items for that. And that'll be locked. So all these doors you'll need a key to get into. And that one key that runs all of them will be the one that you will use. And we're working on stocking all these shelves in here. So this is like the pantry. Lois is working right now and getting all the items in here. We have a lot more room, which will be really, really nice. We'll have the stove in here this week. And it's here. We just have to install it. But this is basically where everything will be, and this will be all set up for the shelter season. We're working on it right now. And then when guests are served meals, we won't be doing the communal meals that we do normally. We will be, like I said earlier, getting plates together, putting them on carts and taking those to the guests' rooms. They'll eat in their rooms, and a half hour later, staff or volunteer will come back through and pick up all of those plates from the guests. So it'll be a little different than in previous years. If we're able to return to normal times and go back to our communal meals that we so enjoy, all of the meals will be served at this counter. So instead of that head table in the dining room, we'll have this nice counter. And then we'll have tables out here and everybody can eat together just like we've always liked to do. And everything's a disaster right now because we're moving in and we've been putting up cameras and all this stuff. So it's kind of wild right now, but we're getting it together. We do have this children's area. We probably won't be able to have kids playing all together like we usually do in here, but we have all the toys and things. And so when a child does come in or a family comes in with children, they are welcome to grab some toys and take those to their room, and then they can just keep them in there and use them there. All of these will be sanitized in between use of families. So when a child is done with those toys, please let a staff member know, and we will make sure that those get sanitized. So that'll be a great job for volunteers to do too, is just sanitizing all these different items. It's going to be a lot of extra work this year, but it's worth it to keep everybody safe. When the meal volunteers come, they're going to ring a doorbell for the front door. And instead of coming through the back intake like we previously had them do, we're going to have them come in through the front. So you'll come through here. These doors are locked, so you'll have to unlock them. And this goes up to the front office. So you go through the children's area into the front office, open this door, and then you'll go and you'll meet the volunteers out here. There are kitchen carts available. So if you would like to bring a cart with you to help them get the items in for the meal, you are welcome to do that. And the meal volunteers can just park right outside. And this is the yellow door, right outside Covantage. So this is on Richmond Street, as you can see. A couple safety precaution items to note. Fire extinguishers are at each entryway to the building. And then there's also one in the kitchen. There is also a fire pole at each entryway. If there ever was a fire, you please run to an entryway, grab a fire extinguisher, if you can put the fire out, and be sure to pull the fire alarm by just grabbing this and pulling it down, and the alarm will go off. And then everybody knows to get out of the building. Guests and staff and volunteers, everybody should use whatever exit is closest to them to get out of the building. Here is another fire extinguisher. This is in the kitchen, right next to the door. So if there was ever a fire, that's where it is. Here is another fire extinguisher and fire pole alarm, and this is an emergency exit. This is the back hallway to the main guest room hallway. And this is not an entrance to the building, nor is it an exit, a normal exit, other than a fire exit. There is an alarm on it. So just so you know, if somebody does try to use that door, the alarm will go off. And there's another fire pole. So if you need to alert people of a fire in the building, you just pull any one of those and that will go off. And now we're at the back shelter entrance, the main entrance that you will all use and the guests will use when they come at night. And here is another fire extinguisher and fire pole. Another emergency precaution device that we have here is our AED machine. And that is located in the dining room, right outside the hygiene closet, next to the STS room. So if there was ever somebody that was having a heart attack or needed CPR or anything like that, this is where you will go for the AED. Staff is all trained in how to administer CPR and use the AED machine. Hopefully that would never happen, but here it is in case it's ever needed. Here's our hygiene closet, and it is pretty well stocked. It's very organized and a lot more spacious than our former hygiene closet. We're very excited about this. We're currently installing cameras, so that's why this shelf is kind of in the middle. This will be pushed back. There's lots of bleach, gloves, PPE, everything. We have face shields. We have gowns even if people wish to wear those. Staff will be wearing a lot of this stuff because they'll be in direct contact with all the guests and just to keep everybody safe. Volunteers are required to wear a mask while they're here along with guests. Everybody in the building and staff has this additional PPE. If the volunteers do wish to wear any additional PPE such as gowns or the face shields or gloves, anything, please feel free to use any of this as well. This is for everybody to use. So we have a couple thousand masks, all different kinds. We have cloth, we have disposable, we have lots of gloves, and we'll be getting more. But I'm guessing we have a couple thousand pairs of gloves too. We've ordered a lot of this stuff. So, and then here's the gowns. These are like a cloth gown up here. So they're very comfortable. Feel free to use them. We want everybody to feel safe while they're here. STS room. This is our resource area, and this area will be used for STS. Anytime a guest wants to work on progress, anything that they need to do, if they want to meet with their mentor, they can do so in here. And with this bigger table, you can do so at a safe social distance. So we would encourage you to sit far apart at the table to be able to discuss needs and just, give yourself some space. The resource boards will be put up in this room as well. The housing, jobs, all of that stuff. That'll all be up in here. So if you want information, pamphlets, anything to give to guests, this is where you're going to find it. And this will be available for guests to use at night and then people to use during the day too. So please feel free to use this if you need anything out of here. This room does lock. So if you did need to come in and meet as a mentor with your guest or help somebody with jobs or housing stuff, and if the door is locked, just ask the staff for the key and they'll get you that key so you can open that up. Any STS classes will also be held in this room, which is really nice. We'll have to limit the amount of people in a class at a time, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. We also have a couple of tablets, so we might be able to do a virtual option if people wanted to do something, or if there was more people that wanted to attend a class than we had room for, so they could do that even from their room. So thanks again for being willing to volunteer with Sam's House. I hope these videos were helpful in trying to describe how we're going to use this new building. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it really quick. A lot of the processes are the same. We're trying to keep things as similar to the previous years as possible. It's just a new space, and I think you'll find that the new space is making everything a lot easier, and it's really nice, and it's easier to find things and be a little more organized. So please don't worry about it, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask them and ask the staff anything that you need to on your first night back in, or any night for that matter. And we're here to make sure that your volunteer experience is enjoyable and fulfilling. So thank you so much for being willing to help us again this year. And we're really excited to have a great shelter season and start providing some shelter for our guests because we've been getting a lot of calls. So we're pretty busy. So thanks so much, and we can't wait to see you all.